Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Going to read through pretty much the full article here. It is a tragic situation in regards to the young man that you see in front of you, a 9-year-old boy from Pennsylvania. His name, if my pronunciation is okay, Azuree Charles. Azuree Charles. And he was initially reported missing, but has since been found dead in a wooded area near Hazer in Pennsylvania. The father, Jean Charles, has been arrested or taken into custody, although that's in regards to a separate incident of child abuse, I believe, against this young man, but it is a separate incident. So the police haven't said whether or not the father is a suspect at this point. However, the police have said that they do have a person of interest detained. So they have detained the father on a separate charge, an outstanding charge of child assault and child endangerment dating back to November 2021. However, the police have not confirmed that the person of interest that they've detained is the father, if that makes sense. So the police are keeping things a little bit under their hat at this point, for good reason, no doubt. But the tragedy is that this young man, 9-year-old Azuree Charles, has been found deceased. He was covered with a lawn chair in a wooded area near Hazer Street in Hazer, Pennsylvania. And he was discovered on Wednesday. So essentially, his body was dumped. Part of the story, which adds to the tragedy, is that this young man had already suffered and beaten cancer. He was regarded within the community as a fine young man. So there are some quotes. Neighbors had organized a vigil to honor Azuree, who had 3 younger sisters, in hopes of paying tribute to the youngster's short life and to help heal their own children traumatized by the tragedy. Yes, of course, his friends, other kids in the local community that may not be that close to him, but, have seen him around, yeah, going to be shocked by this situation. He's been murdered, seemingly. They say that he had recently beaten an unspecified form of pediatric cancer, and that Azuree was a gentle child who was well liked by locals. So, as we say, the father, Jean Charles, has been detained by police on a previous charge, which involves punching, I believe, Azuree in the eye. Punching his son in the eye is what the article says, but I believe that refers to Azuree. I guess it's possible that this scumbag has other children that he punches in the eye. And the father has been denied bail. So the police are calling the boy's death a homicide. As I said before, a person of interest had been identified in the boy's murder. However, investigators have not named any suspects, and they have not clarified whether or not they believe the boy's father, Azuree's father, is a suspect in this case. I'll throw in my speculation in for whatever it's worth. Yes, in my view, pure speculation on my part, but in my view, the father is absolutely a suspect. He's been accused of assaulting Azuree previously, and I don't think the police would risk the mental anguish of a parent by arresting them or detaining them at this point in time, shortly or immediately after the discovery of their child's body, unless the police and the investigators were very confident that the father was at least involved in the murder of the boy, Azuree, 9 years of age. The police have confirmed that they don't feel that there's any further danger to the public, which again adds to the weight of the argument that the father is the prime suspect. If it was a stranger, someone outside of the community, then the police would be more, I don't quite know the right words to say, but they would be under pressure, let's say, to notify the neighbors of the risk, the possible risk, if there was a madman, a mad person going around, a stranger killing children in the area, then the locals would be notified of that so that they are extra vigilant in regards to keeping an eye on their children and protecting their children. But seemingly the police have said there's no need for the locals to be adversely concerned, that they believe that the culprit is currently detained. So there we go. We're right at the beginning of this case. Of course, it is a tragedy. And, we pray for the lost soul of this charming young man. Seemingly, again, locals described him as being a gentle child who was well liked by locals. I guess that means fellow children and the adults in the local community. So, what a tragedy. And seemingly the father is a scumbag. Seemingly the father, at the very least, even if he's not involved in the murder of his child, my guess that he is. But even if he isn't, he's been accused of punching this young man in the eye. What a fucking C word this father is. What an absolute fucking scumbag. So to me, look, I'm no expert here. I don't know anything about much at all. I don't know anything about the judiciary system or police or medical aspects, psychological aspects. I got no real understanding other than those things that I've picked up along the way of my time on this earth. And with that, what I can say is, in my mind, people's bad behavior tends to escalate. If it's not adequately addressed, it tends to escalate, One example that springs to mind is the fucking scumbag grandmother, I think it was, that poisoned her, was it a 4-year-old child or a 4-month-old child? I made a video about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I think a 4-month-old child. There were a couple of cases like this. But a grandmother forced the child to drink half a bottle of whiskey. The child had a sip. She was a naughty girl. She shouldn't have done that. She took a sip of whiskey. The whiskey was left on the table or whatever, so bad parenting in that regard. The grandmother forced her to drink half a bottle of whiskey. She subsequently died, if I recall correctly. I'm quite sure that's the case. Why am I referring to that case? Well, I don't want to take away from this case of the tragedy of Azuree Charles. I don't want to take away from the focus from this case of Azuree Charles. But to me, that grandmother, for example, I guarantee, I don't know, I've never lived in her household, but I guarantee that her bad behavior, her abuse of her children escalated to the point that it was kind of normal for her to force her 4-year-old, I think it must have been a 4-year-old child, to drink alcohol, to force huge quantities of alcohol upon her 4-year-old child. I mean, that's just an absurd thing for any normal, sane human being to do. But I think what happens is these people that aren't quite normal and sane, that they aren't quite there, they have these tendencies towards evil, they have these tendencies towards bad behavior. I believe it escalates, to the point that doing these heinous things are in some regards normal for them. They keep on pushing these boundaries of how abusive they are, and then before they realize it, those boundaries have crossed the line of murder. I guarantee... No, let me wind that back. My speculation is such that the father is guilty of exactly that. My speculation is that the father, Jean Charles, this scumbag, has been in the habit of abusing his son. I don't know if there are other children involved. There likely are, but there's none mentioned within the article. My guess is he's been in the habit of abusing his son, punching his son whenever he feels like it, whenever he feels justified in beating somebody a quarter his size, a child, his own child. That's what this guy's done, in my opinion, in my speculation. And he's continued to do that over a period of time without repercussion, without severe enough repercussion. He's gotten away with it, effectively. And it's continued, and it's escalated. And he's done what he's done before. He beat the child, in my estimation, my speculation. He beat the child. Only this time, he went further than he did before. These things escalate. He pushed the boundaries on what he would enable himself to do. And he enabled himself. He gave himself the green light, the go-ahead, to beat the boy so severely that he died. That's my speculation. My speculation. We don't know anything like that. All we know is that this guy has been detained under suspicion of having punched Azuree Charles back in November 2021. That's all we know. So what I've just said has been sheer speculation, but I'll put money on it. I'll put money on it. $10, $100. This guy's guilty, in my opinion, my speculation. And what I've said is, I guarantee, very close to the accurate situation. This guy has been in the habit of abusing his son, in my speculation, and it's just continued without adequate repercussion, and it's escalated because of that, to the point that the boy died. Again, I'm going to wrap things up at this point. Guys, tell me, am I an idiot for making such speculation? Should I just keep my mouth shut because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about? I'm not qualified in these things. I don't have any information to go on. All I'm doing is reading in between the lines. How good am I at doing that? I'll be arrogant. Or, you know, some of you will consider this to be arrogant. I'm pretty fucking good at it. I get a lot of things right. I work with a little amount of data and I get things right. I don't need to know all of the facts. I mean, if you just don't have an understanding, if you have an understanding of how these things tend to go, statistically speaking, how they're likely to go, you don't need to know all the facts. Here's a little story, let's say a hypothetical. Some idiot is driving around a suburb at 150 miles per hour. Guess what's going to happen? Yeah, they're going to crash. They're going to crash. Someone will get killed. You know, that's the speculation. But you know what I mean? You just follow the common sense aspects, and the conclusions are there. With that, I'm going to shut my mouth. I hope that the investigation goes ahead without any adverse aspects. I'm sure it will. These guys know what they're doing. Look at their faces. They fucking know this guy's guilty as sin. I don't know. To me, even that face, he knows he's guilty. He's guilty. The guy's guilty. My speculation, the guy's guilty. And there's going to be ample evidence. I'm going to say this. It might be a bit offensive. He's not smart enough to have covered up his tracks. The boy's been found fairly close to his home, I believe. Hidden, dumped underneath a lawn chair. I mean, I don't wish to be disrespectful, but that's not a great way to cover up a body, is it? Put a lawn chair on top of it. I mean, how's that going to hide the body for any more than 2 minutes? I don't wish to be disrespectful, but do you see my point? This guy has not covered his tracks. Or rather, let me rephrase that. In my opinion, this guy has not covered his tracks. In my opinion, the culprit concerned, the guilty party, whether it's the scumbag father or somebody else, has not done enough to cover their tracks. These guys here, and the chiefs and the CSI and the investigators and the medical examiners, they're going to be able to build, in my opinion, in my speculation, an extremely strong prosecution case. This guy, if he is guilty, in my opinion, would be wise just to admit to the guilt. There's going to be too much evidence against him. Either way, let's hope justice is served, and let's pray for the lost soul of Azuree Charles. Let's share our condolences for the community, the other children within the community. They're going to be traumatized to some extent by this. His best friends at school. Fucking hell, imagine you're 9 years old and your best mate at school, the guy that you sit next to every class, he's been killed. They're going to be fucking distraught. I don't know of a GoFundMe. Maybe one's not appropriate if the father is a suspect. However, if you guys do come across a GoFundMe or similar, point me in the right direction. I'll happily update the description. But I'm going to wrap things up here, guys. If you do value this type of content, covering these topics which have occurred today, or rather published today, or perhaps the previous day, I am doing my best to pump out multiple videos every single day about these types of topics. Not going to be able to do it every single day. Going to need to take a break every now and then, but I'm doing pretty well at the moment. If you do appreciate that, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. Give me your feedback. Please make some comments. I love your comments. I hope you guys love other people's comments too. I think you do. A lot of the comments get a lot of thumbs up, and you know, they start conversations. So it's great. It's a nice place in my mind to just to cover these topics and to share some level of condolences and express our anger towards these fucking evil scumbag C words that time and again do this kind of thing. I'm going to be making a few more videos today. If you've stuck around, if you're still listening to this now, thank you so much. Some of the videos I'm going to be making today are horrendous, and you may not want to watch them. All right, so I'm going to wrap things up here. Thanks again, guys. Take care.